Hi guys, you're welcome back to another amazing tutorial. So today I'm going to be sharing with you the easiest way to create a pleated slit. This video is very detailed, simple and beginner friendly. So if this looks like what you really wish to learn, please watch this video till the end. And if this is your first time on this channel, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like and also drop a comment. So now we are going to dive into today's tutorial proper. So for this tutorial, we're going to be focusing on the slit part of the skirt alone. So before you go ahead to start creating your pleated slit, you must have made your skirt to this point and you'll be needing just the back block of your skirt for this pleated slit. So now we're going to go ahead to start creating the pleat. For the pleat, the first thing you're going to go ahead to do is to measure your slit opening. So you're going to go ahead to take the measurement of your slit opening. So when taking the measurement, you'll be taking the measurement from 1 inch above where the slit opening stopped down to the hem of the skirt like this. So whatever measurements you get, you'll be adding 1 inch extra and you'll be using that to cut out the piece of fabric that you'll be using to create the pleat. So here I'm going ahead to cut out the piece of fabric that I'll be using to create the pleated slit. So when cutting your fabric, you're going to go ahead to cut a fabric with a width 30 inch. The width of the fabric you are to cut should be 30 inch, while the length should be the measurement you took on the slit opening plus 1 inch extra for folding the edge of the fabric. So you go ahead to fold the edge of the fabric. After folding, what you should have should be the length of your slit opening. So now we're going to move over to the skirt. The first thing I'm going to go ahead to quickly do now is to close up the slit opening using a loose stitch. So do not use a tight stitch because we are going to be opening this up later on. So I'll go over to my sewing machine to quickly do this. So after closing up the slit opening, this is what you are going to be having. This is what it should look like. You're going to go ahead to open up the seam and also iron it. After doing that, the next thing to do is to mark 1 inch above the actual point where your slit opening stopped. After doing that, next you're going to go ahead to attach the piece of fabric to the skirt. To do that, you're going to go ahead to place the good face of your fabric on your skirt like this. Then you stitch on the zipper allowance. When stitching, you are stitching on the zipper allowance, not on the main skirt. So I'll go over to my sewing machine to stitch this part. After doing that, I'll also stitch this other side to the zipper allowance. Then I'll come back to show you what next. I went ahead to stitch a piece of fabric to the skirt and this is what it looks like. So I repeated the same thing on this other side. So when stitching this time around, you'll be using your normal tie stitch, not a low stitch. After stitching it, the next thing we're going to go ahead to do now is to start creating our pleat on the back block of the skirt. And to do this effectively, you need your pressing iron and your pins to be able to do this effectively. So before we go ahead to start creating the pleat, the first thing to do is to locate the midpoint of the piece of fabric. So you're going to go ahead to fold it into two, iron it to be able to locate the center of the piece of fabric. Once you're done doing that, the next thing you're going to go ahead to do now is to place the center of the piece of fabric on the center of the back block of your skirt. I hope this is clear. So you're going to go ahead to place the center of the piece of fabric to meet with the center of the back block of the skirt. So I'm just going to go ahead to notch the center of the piece of fabric like this. After notching it, I'll place it on the center back of the skirt. Then I'll keep that in place with my pins so it doesn't move while creating the pleats. So after pinning it down, the next you're going to go ahead to do now is to iron the piece of fabric like you see me doing in the video. Once I'm done ironing the piece of fabric, the next I'm going to go ahead to do now is to start creating the pleat. And to create the pleat, the first thing we're going to go ahead to do is to leave this part of the piece of fabric. Then you go ahead to place your hand on the center back of the skirt and you repeat the same thing on the lower part like this. After that, you pick the upper part of the skirt and pleat it on your zipper allowance. So make sure whatever pleat you are creating does not exceed the zipper allowance. After placing it on the zipper allowance, the next thing you're going to go ahead to do is to press it down with your pressing iron like you see me doing in the video. So it's very simple. I'll just repeat this. You place your hand on the upper part of the center back of the skirt and you repeat the same thing on the lower part also. You make sure that your hand is on the center back. Then you pick the upper piece of fabric and pleat it on your zipper allowance. Once you're done doing that, you're going to go ahead to keep it in place with your pressing iron like you see me doing in the video. After keeping it in place with your pressing iron, you're going to go ahead to move over to the other side and repeat the same thing. So if you don't want it to move, you can simply go ahead to also keep that part in place with your pins. So on the other part, you're going to be repeating the same thing. Go ahead to place your hand on the center of the skirt, on the center back, on the upper part, and also on the lower part. You place your hand on the center of the skirt like this. Then you go ahead to pick the upper piece of fabric and pleat it on your zipper allowance. So make sure that all the pleats meet on the center part on both sides. This is what we are trying to achieve. All the pleats should meet on the center part. That is why I'm placing my hand on the center back of the skirt. Then I'll lift the upper piece of fabric and pleat it on the zipper allowance. After which I'll go ahead to keep it in place with my pressing iron. So this is very simple. If you try it out the first time and it doesn't come out well, you can repeat it again. It takes time to get used to it. So all you need to do is to place your hand on the center back, pick the upper piece of fabric and pleat it on the zipper allowance. So I'm going to go ahead to repeat the same thing on the other side again. So once you're done with one part, you're going to go ahead to move over to the other part. So you need to be careful while doing this. So after pleating on the other part, I'll do the same thing on the other side again. So I'll keep on repeating the same thing till I'm done pleating the entire piece of fabric on the back part of the skirt. Once you're done pleating, this is what you're going to end up with after pleating the entire piece of fabric on the back block of your skirt. This is what you're going to be having. The next thing I'm going to go ahead to quickly do now is to go over to my sewing machine and I will stitch this part of the piece of fabric to my skirt. Remember we marked that point, so you're going to go ahead to locate that point and stitch it. I'll go ahead to do this, then I'll come back to show you what to do next. After stitching the slits, this is what it's going to look like. The next I'm going to go ahead to do now is to turn the skirt over to the good face. Then I'll use my seam ripper to open up the slits like you see me doing in the video. So after opening up the slit, this is what your pleated slit is going to look like. As you can see, it came out looking very neat, and this is the easiest method you can use to create your pleated slit. So guys, if you find this video helpful, please don't forget to like, comment and also share. And if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, please click on the subscribe button so that you can get to see our other detailed tutorials. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my other tutorials.